welcome to another episode of 5 Business Rules. I'm Nicole Krug.
And I'm Monica Jansen.
And today we are talking about Bitcoin and the 5 things that you need to know.
This is fabulous because I don't know anything about Bitcoin.
Nobody does.
I mean, I've heard of it, obviously, as most of us have.
This is the thing, is that it's exploding, and so everybody's heard of it, but nobody really understands what it is, but it's starting to make a big impact. So, tip number 1, Bitcoin is only one of 800 cryptocurrencies that are out there.
Why haven't we heard of the other ones?
Well, Bitcoin is definitely the largest, but there are things like Ethereum, Litecoin, Ripple. These are all things that are growing up, and the interesting thing is they are considered commodities because their value changes, so it's almost like treating stocks when you get there. So each one has a slightly different rule of why they were created. But there's a lot of them going on.
Okay, that is very interesting to know, and I'd love to know why Bitcoin is the one coming up on top.
It was the first one, so it's interesting as we kind of go through Bitcoin. They're talking about it. Is Bitcoin cryptocurrency is here to stay, but it's one of those things. You remember we started with MySpace, and your different networks change, and so it's a question of is Bitcoin going to be the one that lasts, or are some of these others going to come up?
Well, I guess that's something we have to.
So it's still risky.
Okay.
But so one of the things is Bitcoin is considered distributed ledger technology, which is called blockchain. Okay, so what it is one of the reasons Bitcoin was formed was to not exactly subvert, but avoid third-party financial institutions that are costly. Right?
Okay, so that to me sounds like PayPal, right? Because PayPal is an alternative to going through, transferring money through banks.
It is, but PayPal is still a third party. So
true.
the thing is that this is, what's interesting about the distributed ledger technology is that there's copies of these files on hundreds of computers that have to have a consensus, and it's an algorithm. Now, one of the things that sounds scary as opposed to having it being on one bank server. But the thing is, they're saying it's kind of more hack-proof because you have to validate it off of a number of references. So once it's locked in, then it's really hard to get back there and hack it and change it.
Hack it or make unauthorized copies of it, right?
So one of the things I already mentioned was it was developed as kind of avoiding these third party. We all know we pay bank fees, we pay PayPal fees, we pay credit cards. Yeah. So some of these things it is meant to be faster, more secure, and lower fees. So if you're using an actual Bitcoin wallet, if Monica and I exchange money, it doesn't cost us. The only time it's going to cost you is when you actually cash it out or exchange it to dollars.
Okay.
Now
that makes sense. Because then you're going to have to use a third party.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because some of these, when you look at Bitcoin, how it's being used across the world, most of us have heard of it because of the terrorist groups, because they can move things around. But it's also really great for these unbanked populations that they don't have these different places to use, or they don't have credit. And so it works like cash that you can still move.
So it could really actually help these underserved communities. Very cool.
It's interesting.
That is.
So we mentioned the lower transaction fees. One of the Bitcoin wallets is CoinDesk, but the thing is that if you are using Stripe on your website to process payments, which I am, you can take Bitcoin, which I do.
Has anyone paid by Bitcoin?
I have a Bitcoin customer. That's one of the reasons I learn all about this. But it's interesting because there's no extra things. If you're on Stripe and WooCommerce, you check a button and you are good to go, and you can take Bitcoin. Because what's crazy is there's all these companies that are already taking it. You can go to Target, Payless, Zappos, Amazon, Home Depot.
Cool.
There's already, so it's one of those things that we all kind of have on there, but you don't realize that it's starting to become mainstream. So,
but you know what? If these big companies are starting to accept Bitcoin, that says a lot because they have the power to do all of this research that us small business owners don't.
They don't, and the people that are using Bitcoin are really passionate about it. So as I'm told by the Bitcoin community and some of the people in there, that you will gain customers just by taking Bitcoin because that is what they want to use.
Amazing. That's very cool.
So keep your eye on it as a small business owner, and if you need help investigating it, don't be afraid to reach out to us. We'd love to chat to you about it.
Yeah, and I'd love to learn more about it, to be honest with you.
Another episode coming soon.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Bye.